honey, to Color Mane Wigs, COLORMANE wigs.com. Now, welcome, Jennifer Williams.
Hey, I just want to add in one thing since you were talking about Lady of Success, and I was there last conference in Miami in November. It was, honestly, I was so proud of you because it was an amazing event. And, you know, it's like we're always around all this drama when it comes to a bunch of women. To do something positive, and it was such an insightful weekend, and it was amazing to be around positive women and just, you know, everybody came together. I didn't know anyone there, but besides you.
No, I didn't know them either. I just met them.
Everyone was so positive, and you know, it just was a really good environment with great energy. So thank you. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, we love to have you back again, Jennifer. Again, so we'll talk about getting you back in there with a lot of them. Remember you and they like you and love you. And one thing is for sure, I am a part of that organization, and I've been going through something these last few days, and a couple of them have told me about seeing a therapist, which I mentioned to you earlier today. Seeing a therapist. I'm seeing a therapist. I feel like I've had a phone call with the therapist, so we haven't seen each other in person because we can't because of quarantining. But I felt very traumatized. You know, I think a lot of times people see the tough exterior and they don't really know that that you hurt inside sometimes, like everybody else. And the trauma that I experienced in the last few days, I felt like it was really time for me to see somebody. So I have the first couple of days, I was really just kind of like walking around. Like, have you ever walked around like you floating? I'm just floating around here.
Yeah, in a daze. For sure.
Yeah, like in a daze.
Trust me, I've been like that the past couple of days myself.
Yeah, like in a daze, but you're still functioning. You know, because I think people think, oh, well, she got her wig on, so she okay. Well, I actually don't have it glued down, baby. It's up under the hat. You know, I'm
just dyed my grays yesterday.
Yeah,
get it together, okay?
I'm functioning. I'm here. So it was really good to have you over today, so that we can laugh and talk.
You.
Yeah,
so much fun, and Greg cooked an amazing meal.
Yes, he did. Yes, it's really good to have some company over because we really don't have any company since quarantine.
I know.
So it's really good to have somebody over. So, you know, you and we discussed, I told them before you came on here that there's going to be a part 2 to our, we doing something on YouTube. We did a part 1 and a part 2, and then this is literally part 3 over here on Instagram. And we talked about everything, just so you guys know. We talked about everything I experienced in the last few days. We talked about some of the things that happened at the reunion. I've also talked about some of them on my YouTube channel. We've talked about how I felt and why I decided to speak to a therapist. So we've talked about a lot of things. But one of the things that we want to talk about tonight is that Jen was making headlines over the fact that you dated someone that has literally stolen your car. And at this point, after stealing your car, you get all this information and you find out that he has done this to multiple women across the country. And I don't want anybody to think I didn't ask Jen questions, because people ask me, well, did you ask her anything? Yes, I asked her lots of stuff. And I do get where Jen is coming from. I asked her things like, Jen, do you think there was a red flag that you missed? It's just, you think back, because I always think back when I was dating my abuser, I had all kind of flags. They were flagging all over me, and I just didn't look at them, you know. But I asked Jen things like, because I know you guys are going to drop your questions. I asked Jen questions like, Jen, when you guys went to a restaurant together, did the waitress ever come over and say, hi, Mr. Leaks, thank you for purchasing, or thank you for being here, Mr. Leaks? Or if you checked into a hotel and you picked up the phone, the order room service, did they say, Mr. Leaks, what would you like to eat? Or, you know, just different things. And one of the things Jen said was that she knew his last name. So he gave her the correct last name. He did not give her the correct first name. Okay. And another point that Jen made was, I asked her, has she ever seen his ID? And she said to me that when you're dating, do you ask to see people's ID? And that's true. I never asked to see Greg's ID. When I dated the Albanian guy, John Collage, I never asked to see his ID, although he came through a source that I felt they knew him and it was a decent source. So, but I never asked to see his ID. I don't even remember if I've ever seen it to this day, really. You
Right. Well,
know,
that's the thing. I had a conversation with some of my friends, right? And, I was like, okay, listen, like, let's be honest here. So think back to guys that you have dated and how many guys you saw like their license. That's not
yeah.
like something that you necessarily asked for because I don't know, call me naive, but I just don't think that people are out here lying about their name. I guess because I don't feel the need to lie about my name, you know, I just would
Mhm.
never think that.
I also said to Jennifer, I know this much. So Jennifer was in Atlanta. This is before she moved to Atlanta. She come down to Atlanta. She was looking for something to do, and I said to her, "I'm not coming out tonight, but you should probably go to. I'll tell you places that people, of caliber hang out. Go to the St. Regis Hotel. They have a beautiful lobby." The next day, I spoke to Jen. She said she'd gone to the St. Regis Hotel and she met someone. Fast forward, it was this person, that has since stolen her car from her. Um, so place doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in some luxury, fabulous places, because those people that's in those places can be con artists as well. So there
Yes,
you
and,
go.
and I just want to say, so this guy, what I've come
Mhm.
to learn in, the past few days, well, I've learned a lot in the past few days, but he's been doing this for, you know, 20 years or so. So
Yeah.
this has really been his job. So he has a PhD in conning people. And, it's not just me. There are dozens of victims that have come forward that have very similar stories. I
Hmm.
can't tell you how many people have said, oh my God, he stole my car and, he ruined my credit and I'm dealing with the bankruptcy court now. I've had a guy's bankruptcy attorney reach out to my attorney saying that this guy took two of this man's cars. It's like a Benz and a Maserati, ran up his credit cards. So it's like this is what he does for a living. He's out here, scamming people. And I just was like, I can't let this continue. Like I can't let it be on my watch. This is bigger than my Range Rover. I can get another Range Rover, but this guy cannot continue to be out here ruining people's lives. I mean, the stories that I've been hearing,
Hmm.
it's really draining on me because it's so heartbreaking to hear what he is doing to other women. He's doing it to men. He robbed his own mentally ill father. He got a lawsuit. He got a lawsuit and he got a settlement. And he literally took all this man's money and said he was going to invest it. I'm talking about his own father, and
Yeah.
ran off with the money.
That's
So it's
crazy.
not, it's not just me, unfortunately. But I feel like now that I do have this platform and I spoke up, and people are courageous enough to send me messages in my DMs and share their stories, I feel like, you know what? I have to do something about this. Justice has to be served here because this man is going to continue doing the same things. And part of the problem is, you know, people like to victim blame. And this is part of
Yeah.
the reason why people don't step up and say something. I have so many negative comments on my posts just because of whatever reason. People think I'm a liar. They think, I mean, I don't know why I would have to lie about my car being stolen. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing. Or whether they just hate me. I don't really care. But the point is, I don't have a reason to lie. But this is the same reason why people don't come forward because they feel embarrassed. They feel like people are going to judge them. So they just take the L in private. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm happy that I was, courageous enough to step up. Do I want to necessarily tell this story? No, it's embarrassing. But guess what? God placed me in this position for a reason because this man has been doing it for too long and it has to stop.
Yes, it does. I will say this. I know the weekend that you gave him your car because you were coming down to Ladies of Success in Miami. I told you to put it in my garage. You said you had somewhere else to put it, and you gave it to this person. Um, I think I think the can you just take us back a little bit, like Jen, like when you were dating him, when you first went out with him, did he treat you like a lady? I mean, I told you before that a lot of these people are like sheep in wolf clothing. You know,
No,
they
absolutely.
so he was kind to you. He treated
No,
you like a lady.
well, look, he's very charming, you know, like obviously, like I said, he's been preying on women, so he knows what to say, you know. But he's very charming. We, you know, again, I lives in LA, he lived in Atlanta, so for the most part, you know, we had great conversations when we saw each other. You know, we had a good time there. I didn't really see any, you know, I didn't see any red flags because, again, he knows what to do. He's been doing this for
Yeah,
for
he's an
20 years.
expert. He's an
Like,
expert.
we were dating, and I
Yeah.
didn't see anything that was, you know, unusual.
Yeah, I mean, he's an expert. You have to understand if somebody's been doing this for 20 years, they know what they're doing.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
he's not green to this situation at all. And the fact that he's done this, like he literally like does this in his sleep, you know? Like I don't know how he sleeps actually because
Yeah.
he really just doesn't even have a conscience.
He has a black heart. I can tell you that
Absolutely.
right now. His heart is black.
And the thing is, so, you know, he's been able to continue to do this because people haven't said anything. Some people have made reports, but he's been doing this all over the country. Okay, so I've had people reach out to me from all over, you know, Kansas City, Atlanta, Alabama. I mean, you name it. Okay, North Dakota, just like crazy places. So he's been doing this in different places. Some people have made reports, some people haven't. But the cops haven't been able to connect the dot. One, because he's been using so many different aliases, you know?
Yeah.
So the girl he did it to, unfortunately, she passed away in Kansas City, but I spoke to her sister and she thought his name was Brian Nichols. A man in Atlanta that he hasn't seen his truck in a year, hasn't reported it stolen. He thinks his name is Chris. I don't know what he thinks his last name is, but he thinks his name is Chris. Now this is I don't know if he's bisexual, but he's definitely a gay man, and they had relations. This is alleged, nothing's proven. I don't know,
Right.
but
Right.
I'm just telling you this is what has been coming to me in the past couple days. So it's, you know, it's crazy. It's just
Well, Jen,
crazy.
can you tell us a little bit about like when you're in a situation like this with a car, how you have to still pay for it? Like when will the insurance say you're not responsible for it anymore?
Well, yeah, if you're in a situation like this and you have a car and you have a car note and your car gets stolen, one, you have to report it because you need a police report for your insurance. So you have to report it, and you know, the police, they're going to investigate it, you know, like so they started investigating my case, and he happened to tell the lieutenant that I gave him my truck, which was true. He said that I gave him my truck because I wanted him to rent it out, and he said I wanted him to rent it out because I was late on my payments, which is absolutely not true.
Right.
And he put a tracker on it. This is everything he told the lieutenant. He put a tracker on it. He rented it to some guy named Paul McGowan, and he doesn't know where his number is. Now the tracker is not working, whatever, whatever. Here's the bottom line. I did give him my truck to put up. Okay, you know that because I talked to you about the situation. So it's okay to give somebody your car to run an errand, whatever. You give me your car, I'm supposed to go to Publix. I don't bring the car back. At that point, I stole your car. It's really that fucking simple. It's
Right.
not rocket science. You give somebody your car. The minute you ask them to return it and they don't return it and they cannot produce your car is stolen. So
Yeah.
the lieutenant asked him to return my car. He cannot produce my car. So where the hell is the damn car?
It's stolen. And we're talking about months in, though.
Allegedly, he's a part of like this car ring that he's been arrested for before. So there's a big car ring in Atlanta. Atlanta's like the land of, listen, you could get scammed anywhere, but it's just like they really specialize in Atlanta on scams.
I didn't know that.
There's a big car ring where it's a bunch of luxury stolen cars, and people are out here stealing cars, changing VIN numbers, and either renting them out, selling them, and you have no idea that you're driving around in a stolen car. Now, I think this happens to people that, you know, they have a lot of cash. They might not have got it legally. I don't know, but
They probably
you know,
do. Some people deal in cash because they don't have the credit.
That's true. That's what I was gonna say. So yeah, but I'm learning like all these things. I feel like John Walsh. I'm like, what the hell? Like this is it's a whole world. It's really crazy.
So, Jen, what do you say to people who say things like, you know, you should have had your eyes more open. Like you should have noticed. Something should have told you. Like, tell us, Jen, you gave him the car in November 2019, and we are really talking about this months later. That's his story,
Okay, so
because that boy put that on social media. He said, "Who gives somebody their car for like however many months and then don't ask about it?" That's what he said.
right. No, so that's not the case. So I gave him the car in November, and I was moving to Atlanta, and I was in a process of buying a house.
Yes, I remember.
I had an issue with my closing. Actually, when I moved, I didn't even think it was going to be an issue with my car because actually, as I was on the plane, I thought I was closing on my house 2 days later.
Yes.
Before I was getting on the plane, right?
Right.
And so, as I'm on the plane, there's an issue with the closing. I'm like, great, are you kidding me? Because at this point, I know my cars are already in Atlanta and my stuff is on the way. So I'm like, damn, I knew I had to leave out of town. And I'm just like, okay, one car you could kind of figure out. Maybe you could leave it at the airport or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I have two vehicles. So it's difficult to figure out, okay, where am I going to put two cars? And again, I had known him. We have been in a relationship. He allegedly is a car dealer. It just kind of made sense, So I gave him my car. Issue with the closing. I didn't end up getting that house. So now I'm back at, square one, which is a really stressful situation because at this point I'm pretty much homeless. I'm like, damn, like I thought I was closing on this house. It's not happening. Where am I going to live? So to be honest with you, the last thing I was thinking about was my car because I'm figuring, it's safe. And he's telling me, he was like, hey, you need to get an oil change, whatever. So there was nothing like out of the ordinary. So I stayed in the hotel for a while, so I wasn't really like trying to get my car. And then I got a temporary place at the 12 in Atlantic Station, which is like Fort Knox, and we have one parking spot. So I'm like, all right, I don't really need my car right now. But then, now I'm about to close on my house. And I'm like, before then I had asked him about the car and he was like always deflecting, right? And I'm like, yo, like, what's going on with my car? But then I really wasn't stressing it because again, I didn't really have a place to put it. So, yeah, so I'm like, now I'm like, all right, cool. Like I know I'm closing, like I got my house and dude can't produce my car. So I had went to the cops one time and, I was explaining to them the situation and they were like, well, do you think that he's going to return the car? Because the minute I put this car in as stolen, this is a big deal. Like this is a felony charge. And if he gets pulled over, it's not going to be nice for him. So I'm like, damn, like, do I want to do that? Cause I'm like, well, maybe he's going to give me the car back,
Right.
So again, still try to get the car to no avail. So then at this point, I'm like, I go talk to the attorney. I'm like, what do you think I should do? He's like, look, we got to go to the police station. So he went with me to the police station. So it wasn't, people think it was 5 months. It wasn't. It's just, they haven't done anything about it because one, we're going through a pandemic. So, and it's not really a priority. Now, if,
the courts are different now. People do know that.
Right. And the detective said, like, listen, there's been a lot of violent crimes that got dumped on my desk. They take precedence over property crimes. Sure. So they're not really, worried about this girl that Range Rover is allegedly stolen, but this guy is saying that he rented it out. So, it's kind of confusing for them because again, he's been doing this for 20 years. So he kind of like knows what to say to like him off, and I'm like, no, like that's not the case. So, that's why I decided to go public with it because I'm like, this is crazy. They're not doing anything. I don't know what to do. I'm in this predicament. And I'm glad I did because I found out a lot of victims and I'm not alone. So now it's forcing their hand to do something. And actually the FBI is involved because it's cars across different states and it's just too much, like it's bigger than the Smyrna police now.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get it, Jenny. And I understand. I understand because I know a lot of it some of it that was happening, when you dated and when you moved and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so what do you have to say? Let me just take a couple of questions. How about I do that? The question will pop up on the screen. Why don't I do that? Okay. That's not true. Whoever it says, why are they saying the guy who conned her is Marlo friend? That's not true. Marlo don't know anything
Oh, but
about
I
the
do
guy,
want to say this. So
to my knowledge.
I did go to Sheree's house with him. So
Yes.
Sheree knows him. Him and Sheree are friends. I don't know how, but I went to Sheree's house with him for a pajama party that she had last year for her birthday. So, I'm thinking this guy is legit. Like, he knows Sheree, he knows like people in Atlanta. So I wasn't thinking that, this was a con man.
So this is somebody that this guy took Jennifer to Sheree's house, and he's a con artist. And so she's thinking maybe Sheree would know something. I mean, I don't know. Just let me take another
I mean, I don't
question.
I don't know how she knows him, but they definitely
Yeah.
know each other because again, he said Sheree's having this party. We gotta go. It's a pajama party. Blah blah blah. So we went. Candy was there. Like I saw different people there. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
You thought it was a jail. Okay, next question said, do you believe her, Nene? I do. I do. Like, I've been knowing Jen for a while. So it's not like I'm talking to somebody that I don't know. The weekend that we're speaking of when she gave him the car is the weekend she was meeting me actually in Miami. And that's the weekend that I had offered her to put her car in my garage. And I do know when Jen came here, I do know she wasn't closing on her house because we discussed it. And I even tried to turn her over to my mortgage person who closed my house. So I do know all of those things that were happening. Had I ever met this person, I've never met this guy before. So I don't know anything about him. But I know Jen has two cars. I've written in both of them. And I just can't even imagine her getting on social media lying about her car being missing. I mean, it's just, to me, it just seems like a dumb story. Like, why would she just come out and say her car is missing just for attention or
I
something?
mean,
It doesn't make sense. It
that's
doesn't,
fraud.
yeah,
I've never been to jail. I'm
yeah,
an upstanding citizen. I don't have a reason to lie, but
yeah,
at the same time, like it's like this guy is out here doing these awful things, and I'm like, this guy, it has to stop. It has to
yeah,
stop. And
yeah,
a lot of his victims, they keep reaching out to me, and they're like, please, Jennifer, don't get discouraged. Like we need some justice to happen. Thank you for
yeah,
being a voice. So,
yeah,
it's like hard because these stories that I keep hearing, it's so sad. And honestly, it's really draining to keep hearing the same thing over and over. And it just blows my mind that this man has been able to get away with this shit for so long.
The other thing is that, like Jen was speaking on it earlier before, maybe some of you guys are just tuning in, is the fact that you guys would criticize a victim, like support them. I know that Jen wouldn't dare be somewhere trying to pretend like the man stole her car and he didn't steal her car. That just wouldn't make sense to me. I know she had the dang on car. Okay, and she had those cars shipped from California here. I rode in both of those cars with Jen in California. I mean, she has two cars, and I rode with her in California. And I know the day that Jen was shipping her things to Georgia. But as far as the guy is concerned, be clear. I know nothing of him. I don't know his name. I've never met him before or any of those things. I'm only speaking on Jen's behalf, only on her behalf. Okay, and if Sheree knew him or if any of you guys know him and you have a way of helping, please help. You understand this is just a single
Yes,
woman
if there's
just
any
being tricked by a
victims
man,
or you know of anything, or
Yeah.
it happened to you. He goes by plenty of aliases, but I've posted his picture, so please continue with the DMs. And I just want to say, like, thank you to all the victims that have been courageous enough to actually say something, because again, it's hard to be forthcoming about being scammed. Like, people just don't want to talk about it, but unfortunately, it does happen every day, and it's not just this man. It's a lot of people. But if it happens,
Hmm.
please go to the authorities, make a police report, because you do have a voice. I'm not saying you get your property back, but at least maybe you could help to stop whoever is out here scamming.
And help the next person too, maybe.
Absolutely.
Help the next person. Okay, so we're gonna do another question here. Okay, Jen.
Am I supposed to be looking at the questions?
Can you see it? You can see the question too, can't you?
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
and
I see.
why
Okay.
do you think Sheree could have set you up, Jen?
No,
No, Sheree didn't
no,
introduce them.
no,
Get the story right. Sheree did not introduce Jen and him. Jen and him met on their own. She's only saying that he invited her to accompany him to a party that Sheree had, which was at Sheree's home, and Sheree had a pajama birthday party. He was there along with Jen. And so she's saying, in order for this guy to be able to go to Sheree's house, Sheree invited him there. So she could possibly know something about him. Marlo doesn't know anything about him, to my knowledge.
So I see people in here talking about the text messages that he released. So let me just talk about that. So the night before the Breakfast Club interview was going to come on, I posted on my page about, going to the Breakfast Club. I started getting text messages from random numbers saying that, enjoy your time in Florida, because the minute that Breakfast Club interview airs, text messages are going to be sent to TMZ, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I don't have anything to hide. I'm thinking like, okay, what's this guy going to say? So Breakfast Club interview airs, and he makes up this fake page. Well, actually, it wasn't a fake page, but I guess it was a new page. He makes up this page where he starts putting out all these text messages. So the text messages were absolutely fake. There were part of the messages that were real, and then he would add on to another part of the messages. Let's use common sense here, guys. This guy has been a con artist for 20 years. Do you think he can't make fake text messages? And that's why I went on my Instagram and I did the whole screen thing, because you can snapshot a text message and it could be fake. You put one part, you copy. I don't know what the hell they do, because I don't.
Yeah, because somebody said the same thing to me. I recently released some text messages, and they were like, "Your text messages are fake." I said, "Oh, hold on now. I ain't even that techie, so I know you ain't gonna be able to give me
Right,
that.
like, but
Now,
and
I don't do that.
like,
Now, hold
seriously,
it.
I had to ask my friend's son, like, okay, how do you do where? Because I remember OG was like,
Right.
no, this is what you have to do when you're trying to show like the text messages
Just
are
kind of
real.
roll your phone.
So you got,
I do that
yeah,
too. I do
right.
that.
So I'm
Yeah, I
like,
do that.
he talks. So he goes, it's like one part where
Mm-hmm.
it's me at the reunion, that was real, and then he goes, how was it? And I say so, but then on his messages, it's like, he says something about Evelyn's daughter, something about me saying I want to break somebody's face. Okay, if anybody knows me, I don't even talk like that. Like when he
Right.
says something about licking somebody's pussy, I don't talk like that. Like,
What?
that language is so vulgar, and as long as I've known you, I've never spoken like that. I just don't
Yeah.
speak like that, and I don't talk about fighting and breaking somebody's. It just wasn't even me. So that's
Right.
why I put up my messages like, no, I actually said so, and then I said I'm still here or something, and then the next day he goes, how was it? So if I'm saying I want to like break somebody's face, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so crazy how people try to play on because they see you on television and how they try to go and play on that. And then the other party will sit up and believe it. It's just crazy.
But here's the thing: why are you releasing text messages, and you're making up fake stuff, and then you're just causing problems with people that I work with. They don't have anything to
To
do with
do with
anything,
this. Yeah.
nothing to do with this. So just because now you feel embarrassed because not only are you on social media, but you're on the Breakfast Club. So now you want to make up all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely crazy to me. But listen, at the end of the day, I don't care what people believe, because
Right.
it's so many other people that have the same story. Like I don't have any reason to lie about some text messages. I'm very forthcoming in this
Mm-hmm.
situation. I'm not denying that I was dating this guy. So yeah, there's some things that were real on the text message, but
Mm-hmm.
most of it was not real at all. And then he's talking about, oh, I told her not to move to Atlanta. Like, dude, I didn't move to Atlanta for you. We weren't even together when I moved to Atlanta. So what the hell are you talking? Like, that all was
Right.
fake.
You're
I
like,
mean,
I moved to
it's
Atlanta
crazy.
on my own.
It's crazy, like, you didn't buy my house. I didn't move here for you. You don't even know where I live at. So what the hell are you talking about? I mean, it's absurd. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's all I really have to say about that. I just really wish that, you know, if you have a problem with me, just keep it with me. Don't bring other people into it. Don't bring their kids into it. That shit is just so unnecessary. Like he's a liar all around. But you know what? People want to hate me so bad. They want to think that I'm a liar. So go ahead. You know, like if this shit will all come out when his ass is in jail. If the streets don't find his ass first.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a question. I had one. I'm going to stick it out. Jen, clarify. I think you already did that, Jen. Do you see what I put up on the screen?
No, I can't. I can't see anything.
It's so weird that you can't see them. Okay, it
Oh,
says Jen.
Tamar said, "Have I been to his house?" Yes, I've been to his house. His house was in, I think, Kennesaw, Marietta. I don't know because the address pulls up as both. I did go to his house. He lives in a relatively decent sized house in a nice area, and you know, I didn't see anything abnormal. You know, I've been to his house a couple times, and you know, he told me that he owned the house. I later found out that he doesn't. He rents it, but you know, whatever. But I had been there.
Uh-oh,
Definitely
I
have been
flipped
there.
my camera somehow. I got to flip it back. I tested, flip my camera. I'm back. Okay, so let me get another question here. Yes, Tamar, for the question, baby. Okay, you better come on
Yes.
in. Okay, there you are, Jen. It says, Jennifer, how long had you known him before giving him your car?
I had known him over a year.
She had known him for over a year, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hold on one second, you guys. That's not true. She talked about the text messages already, you guys. That's why I'm not pressing on the text messages. She's already talked about them. Okay, there you go, Jen. It says, what did your insurance company say?
Well, it's still being investigated. So again, like I said, Ramona talked to Ramona's worker. She's actually the one. I contacted her because when I found out his real name, which unfortunately was through his mother's obituary, I had to kind of piece it together. She had written a article about him years ago. I think it was like in 2011 or 13. I don't remember exactly, but she this was the only thing that I could find when I googled his real. I reached out to her. We actually had a lengthy 2-hour conversation. She explained to me her experience with him, what he does, and she was actually surprised that he was still out here doing the same thing. And she dated him in like the early 2000s. So her and I connected, and I was like, listen, we gotta do something about this. So we
Mm-hmm.
kind of like partnered up, and we're talking about doing a couple different projects. One being like a documentary, getting some of his victims together, just to tell people, you know, bring
Mm-hmm.
awareness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
So
Jennifer,
it
does he
really is
have?
a lifetime movie, honestly.
It
Like
is.
you can't make this shit up. The stories that we've
Oh,
been hearing.
I've run into a con artist before, honey. Let me tell you. But anyway, Jen, does he have children?
I'm sorry.
Does he have children?
Ooh, does he? So I thought that he had. I thought he had 4 kids. Right. That's
Mm-hmm.
what he says. He has 4 daughters. Come to find out through this whole post and just everything going on, he has on record now 10 kids. And look at his
Wow.
karma. He has 9 daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has one son. He has a 10-year-old son that is autistic. He doesn't really see any of these kids. He doesn't take care of them. I think he saw one. I was talking to one kid's mom. I think she is maybe like 15 or 16, and he's seen her about 4 times in her entire life.
Wow. That's a
So he's
shame.
just out here. He's reckless.
Making
You know, I've
babies.
had I've had
Mm-mm.
gay men reach out to me saying that he's on the Jack app, and if they have relation. I mean, it's just again, I don't know what's true, not true, but it's just the stories I've been hearing are just crazy.
Jennifer, they're asking, did he move? Does he still live in that same house? Would you be able to send police or somebody to that house?
I don't know if he moved. What we've been finding out is he has a couple different addresses, and
Mm-hmm.
you know that's what I was me. I'm like, well, you know, the cops. Why don't they just? And he has an active warrant for his arrest for forgery in Alabama. So
Oh,
I'm saying,
wow.
why can't they just go pick his ass up?
Right, but they got to
I
find
mean,
him to pick him up. You know, he may not be still at that address. And remember, we're in a pandemic. Okay. So Jen is going out of, Jen, you went out for a second, but you're good now. It's probably because of the people, amount of people getting on social media. But we're in a pandemic and things are happening a little bit different with the courthouses right now. Okay. The next
Right.
question is, Jen, but I think she's explained this pretty good. They want to know, did he have a car? Maybe he had a car and you could
Okay,
get the
so
police.
yeah, so he's always seen in different vehicles, right? Because he's a car dealer, and he's always in like a different luxury vehicle.
Car.
Yeah, so he has a car, but you know, at this point, I'm assuming that
You don't
whether
know
he
which one is his because he drives so many different ones.
right, right,
Right.
and
So
recently, I don't know if I mentioned this, but there was a they did have a well, actually, this was last year in March.